Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Country with the weekly comic book roundup, and we've got actually a rather large roundup, even though it's been an interesting week shipment-wise. So yeah. Anyway, normally we'd be splitting things up with we got your Marvel videos, you got your DC videos. However, all three videos this week will be both Marvel and DC. So without further ado, let's get started with XMen Legends number 8. Where we left off, Wolverine and Jubilee were in Japan tracking some kidnapped mutants. They came upon the kidnappers, who it turns out were family of Lady Deathstroke. Fight breaks out. Our traffickers get a hold capture Jubilee, but one of the mutant kids, a teleporter, had managed to get free and teleports Wolverine to elsewhere. So our two trafficked kids are Hino-chan, who has, as I recall, burning powers, and then Yurei, the teleporter. Gigi is the sister of Lady Deathstrike and in charge of the operation. So yeah. So the issue begins. Wolverine's just hacking and slashing his way through a bunch of thugs in a Shanghai dock, and it's explained that not only was he sent to the did Yurei teleported to the dock, but she also teleported him further in time, so that they were arriving at the same time, arriving shortly before the boat would arrive. Yurei also teleports one of the Triad goons into the tiger pit at a zoo, claiming it's just in time for feeding. But Jubilee's trying to use her fireworks to get loose, and she actually does manage to do so eventually. But yes, but Wolverine shows up. Fight breaks out. He takes on Lady Deathstrike. Yurei goes to rescue Hino-chan. But of course, Wolverine and Jubilee are reunited. But it turns out that also in one of the shipping containers is none other than Omega Red, who also wanted the girls, but he was not the buyer. The buyer is soon enough revealed to be none other than Sabretooth, who is there alongside his telepathic associate, Birdie. And that is where the issue ends. So yeah, this was just like 6 different shades of 90s nostalgia, and I think also makes for the 7th appearance of the character Birdie. So Birdie, by the way, quick note, telepath who was telepathic mercenary employed by Sabretooth to generally kind of so that he could keep his trauma in check and keep his killer instinct, his killer's edge sharp. But yeah, it's been a fun issue, and I did pick up the variant for it. So with X-Men Legends, the variants have been, I'm pretty sure I've shown off the other ones I've picked up from the series so far, but they've been the action figure variants. So, and there we are, Wolverine, claw popping berserk rage. I like how they even kind of worked in the idea of there being a trading card in there as well. Next up, we've got Star Wars number 18. Finally getting the War of the Bounty Hunters finished up. Now, this is actually more of an epilogue issue. It looks like, for the most part, a lot of the War of the Bounty Hunters tie-ins from this past month were really more epilogue. So, yeah. But with an assist from Crimson Dawn, the Falcon managed to dock aboard the Executor. Leia, Chewie, and Lando had almost managed to found Han and were about to free him when a hull breach occurred, and he got sucked out into and Han got sucked out into it. However, Boba Fett, of course, went out after him, and before he crashed to Jakara, Fett took him and put him in and sold him to Jabba. So on the Falcon, afterwards, Leia is not happy about this, and she kind of even gives up hope for a brief minute. Talking about everything she's seen. The destruction of Alderaan. Saying goodbye, the Battle of Hoth, saying goodbye to Han, her torture at Vader's hands, seeing Han slide out the hull breach. But Lando tells Lobo he's gonna, try to get back in touch with the, or get with Jabba and his organization to, in the hopes that maybe they got that droid and they can, hopefully they can fix Lobo. But the Vermilion shows up, intercepting them. Turns out they've done something to the hyperdrive. But Lady Kira, as she wishes to board, she's unarmed. She has a data pad and a bottle of booze with her. But she wants to talk with Leia. Just girls. But she relates the story of she explains what her end game was. That basically her end game was to make sure that somehow Han Solo got back to people who care about him, the rebels. However, things did not work out that way. And even stating quite clearly, she liquidated Crimson Dawn assets to provide a distraction for Leia to get aboard the Executor, and that still didn't pan out. But it's, there's no blame being taught. It's basically just saying, hey, I was trying to help, okay? But she relates a story from her and Han's younger days on Corellia, working for Lady Proxima. Basically, some of the bullies were beating up one of the newer recruits into Proxima's organization, and Han stepped in to defend the kid. And basically, Joan said, "Hey, look, at least for that moment, that kid probably thought that things could be different, and maybe they can be, and you got to start somewhere, right?" But Kira tells Leia just what's happened to Han, that Boba Fett, kept him from falling into the frozen sea of Jakara, and has since sold him back to Jabba the Hutt. And she also says that she will do anything she can to help the Alliance rescue Han. And when the time comes to get Han back, Crimson Dawn has contacts and resources. But before she leaves, Leia asks if the story that Kira told her was true, and Kira simply looks at her and says, "Be seeing you." And that is where the issue ends. Yeah, I think this event kind of did the trick. Got me hooked on the new Marvel Star Wars title. So will likely be seeing the Star Wars titles more often on the roundup. I was already kind of thinking about getting going in on Crimson Reign, which is kind of the sequel to War of the Bounty Hunters. But yeah, next up, Bounty Hunters number 17. Now, where we left off for our cast of Bounty Hunters, Boba Fett had betrayed. Boba Fett teamed up with Valance and then betrayed him aboard the Executor. Seeing as how while they both wanted to find Han Solo, each one had different reasons for doing so. Valance wanted to rescue Han. Fett wanted to, well, get his bounty. His second bounty. And basically left an explosive stuck on Valance's body, which, yeah. So, explosive went off, Valance was injured, and he comes to surrounded by stormtroopers. So, yeah. But of course, he comes to an target-rich environment. So, yeah. He just goes after the stormtroopers, piling on. Meanwhile, Bounty Hunter Tonga, who's assembled a crew, is approaching the Executor as they need balance. But yeah, Valance wades through the stormtroopers, gets and basically gets an old smuggler's channel that Valance is plugged into picks up the hail from the Edgehawk. So he makes his way down. Elsewhere, Crimson Dawn recruits the Unbroken Clan into their ranks. Valance makes his way towards his rendezvous with the Edgehawk. Runs it. Has a cadet pulls a blaster on me, trying to say, "Hey, look, I used to be like you. Got injured. This is what became of me. Don't make the same mistakes I did." However, one of the security officers aboard the Executor is like, "Yeah, open that. As the security cameras have discovered Valance." Well, yeah. The compartment is open to the vacuum, with the security officer stating that the cadet in there with Valance will be remembered for his glorious sacrifice to the Empire. Valance tries to save the kid, but too late. Makes his way into the hangar, but also tells Tonga not to come in the hangars, it's full of stormtroopers. But he grabs the jump trooper's backpack and makes his way out of the hangar. Zuckuss goes to grab him from the hatch, grabs his hand, and suddenly Valance is yanked away, except for the arm that the Zuckuss has. Of course, he was yanked away by none other than Darth Vader. And so Valance comes to later. Human. No visible robotic parts. Possibly no robotic parts at all. With Vader stating that he had Valance fixed, as Valance serves him now. And that is where the issue ends. Like I said, I'm probably going to be sticking with the Star Wars books for the foreseeable future. Probably should have gotten in on High Republic, but oh well. Timing. So yeah, the War of the Bounty Hunters comes to a close. And yeah, good stuff. Like I said, I'll likely be continuing to my reading of the Star Wars titles as time goes on. Moving on to our next book, we've got Deathstroke Incorporated, number 2. Where we left off, Deathstroke and Black Canary were working for the group Trust, and alongside the second Toyman, Hero. But Deathstroke and Canary both admitted that, yeah, they don't entirely, well, trust. And we were also shown that there's good reason for them not to. In the first issue, the pair went after the Hive Queen. What they weren't told is that the Hive Queen there had been an attempt to recruit the Hive Queen into Trust. But that attempt failed, and, well, because the Hive Queen turned down the offer, it basically kind of, you know, work with us or be or be taken down by us. So in this issue, the pair are in space alongside a remote-controlled bat armor being controlled by Toyman. But it turns out it's a Trust space station. It's been taken over by none other than the cyborg Superman. And the Weird. An extra-dimensional being, yeah. Alien from another dimension. His body is pretty much a cosmic energy battery. Turns out that, however, that the bat armor isn't being remotely controlled by Hero. He stowed away because, well, he wanted to go to space. But since he's there, he could probably hack Cyborg Superman. And he manages to pull it off because, as Cyber Superman has linked to the station's computer, so he was able to use that to hack, well, the cyborg. The Weird is freed, and we see a little glimpse of everything going on in the DCU. Before the Weird thanks our heroes and leaves. But apparently there was a transmission coming out from the station. It simply said, "Stay away, Earth is ours." But the director pops up to pass along the next mission to Slade and Dinah, taking down Cheetah, who is apparently in the Kingdom of Chitara, where she is Queen Cheetah. And that is where the issue ends. Oh boy, that looks like it's actually been fun. Well, I don't entirely like the idea of continuing to trying to rehabilitate Deathstroke. It's still a fun book, so yeah. Moving on to our next book, we've got Task Force Z, number 1. Now you may recall, for the last few months in Detective Comics, we had a backup story called "What the Fuck is Task Force Z?" focusing on the Red Hood and dead bodies being stolen from the Gotham morgue. Yeah, it's the official name for the Suicide Squad is Task Force X. Well, yeah, this is a couple letters down. It's a hit squad of zombies led by Red Hood, but they start off with going after Crazy Quilt, and yeah, Man Bat is almost chows down on him, but well, Crazy Quilt does knock a rather large, sizable hole in Man-Bat before Bane attacks him. But Red Hood is able to subdue Bane. Well, by subdue, I more mean get him not to, well, rip Crazy Quilt in half. Back at the HQ for Project Halperin, also known as the Chop Shop, Jason is very open about his views about the team. Namely that calling them a team is putting things very loosely. He thinks of his group as monsters, and well, yeah, he's the only thing keeping them from eating civilians, and only barely at that. But he learns of a he's we find out that what's being used to reanimate them is known as Lazarus resin. It only does limited cognitive ability and a degree and a slight cannibalism streak. They have no idea what. That said, Lazarus resin is not, well, it works fine on dead tissue. Project Halpern has no idea what it would do to living tissue, and that's part of what Jason's supposed to do, is make sure that they don't find out in an uncontrolled scenario, at least. But got a briefing with one of the higher ups. There's an interrogation of Crazy Quilt. He's asked questions, and basically he has no interest in talking at all. Until one of the members of the task force is brought in, Arkham Knight. And of course, she is basically pulled away, and when Crazy Quilt agrees to talk. And so there's the task force is sent back out. Turns out that Jason is the only non-dead member of the task force. There's also Mr. Bloom, but they come upon, of course, Mr. Freeze. It's Arkham Knight, Man-Bat both kind of kill some of his goons, but whereas Bane gets trapped in a chunk of ice, and well, so does Man-Bat, and yeah, the 2 blocks of ice containing them get shattered by Freeze. Arkham Knight gets her lower half frozen. Freeze and Red Hood duke it out, but they're basically Freeze's containment suit ruptures and it kind of explodes, an ice explosion, so to speak. Jason's kind of frozen in place, but well, turns out not everyone was frozen in place by the explosion, as the Arkham Knight is crawling her way towards him, and very clearly hungry. That is where the issue ends. And yeah, I gotta say, honestly, a strong start. I was really impressed, and yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes. So yeah. Moving on to our next book, we've got Crush and Lobo number 6. Where we left off, Crush had been hot. Once Space Prison realized that Crush was not Lobo, they hired her to track down and bring back Lobo, and she started with the tracking part. Found his space girlfriend, who informed Crush that Lobo had gone to Space Vegas, which was all according to Lobo's plan. So she's on Space Vegas, and well, it's Space Vegas. That said, there are a lot of people there who look a lot like her dad. Also, she tries to tamper with her her countdown clock, which actually knocks an hour off of countdown. So yeah, but she goes to a cookie shop where they make a cookie of the person. You go in, they make a cookie the same height as you, design look just like a giant cookie of you. But there's a local who decided to go to try the whole dating app thing out, and mistakes Crush for his date, and so they go on a date together with Crush, continue to pretend to be his date. They go end up at a comedy club, and yeah. Crush demands that the comic, not be a dick to her date. Well, rather than just leave, yeah, Crush starts a fight with him. Turns out he's basically just full of hot air. She finds out was her spiked bracelets pop him, and well, yeah. But so yeah, dude leaves, and but he has asked her why she Crush is open with him about who she really is. Well, at least she's not she's not actually his date. Dude asks why she lied, and she explains that she thought he needed someone better in his life, and that just for tonight she could pretend to be that person. But as she's kind of moping back to her hotel, she gets informed of a ruckus at the Spa Space Vegas. More of a ruckus than normal. And so she arms up and heads out. And that is where the issue ends. Good issue. There's also quite a few relationship flashbacks for her. But it's good. I figured I would enjoy this series. I just didn't figure I'd enjoy it as much as I did. Also, I figured it would be much more of a team-up book than focusing on Crush tracking down her father. But hey, you know what? I kind of like the way that it's turned out. So yeah. Anyway, moving on to our last book for the moment: DC versus Vampires, #1. You can't really get up there. You can kind of see the cover there that way. But so the issue begins with Andrew Bennett, iVampire, heading to the Justice League. Green Lantern finds him when he gets there, brings him inside, and well, he explains that his ex-lover, Mary, Queen of Blood, is the leader of the cult of the Blood Red Moon. Her going on to her wish is law among vampires. The delicate beast between man and vampires exists because she wills it so. Well, turns out she's dead. So Andrew's been looking for the culprit. All leads seem to point to the Legion of Doom. So he infiltrated their headquarters and saw that they had fallen to the vampires as well. And there was apparently a full map, a solar shield around the Earth, and listing possible allies and targets. And Bennett realized the plan wasn't to start a war, but rather wipe out the human race. But he found Lex Luthor still alive, but only just. But he gave Bennett a syringe of his blood, and he still wants Bennett to kill him because, yeah, with his hands, not with his teeth, and so he obliges. But not all the Legion of Doom are dead. Some have turned. Grodd, Scarecrow, Riddler. And in fact, there's something up with Lex's blood because, well, Bennett injects him into the Riddler, who turns into a pile of dust. But he goes on the run, traveling by day to avoid other vampires, though he knows he's being followed by vampires. However, like I said, he ended up in the Hall of Justice, and it's really just Xana the Wonder Twins and Hal Jordan there. And it turns out that, well, Hal's been turned. And so, Hal basically turns Xan into a smoothie, drinks it up. It's a bit watery, but, you know. He then uses and he explains that he's able to, he's able to tell the ring to filter out specific forms of light, like, say, ultraviolet light, which can kill vampires. He then later uses his ring to also channel ultraviolet light, and he uses it to kill Andrew Bennett. However, it turns out that before heading to the Hall of Justice, Bennett stopped off at Wayne Manor and left a letter that he wrote for Batman. The letter reading, "I know my coming here like this is dangerous, and I apologize, but I have nowhere else to go. I need your help. The world needs your help. We have met before, and I hope you might remember me. My name is Andrew Bennett, and I come to you now in this most desperate hour. My journey here has not been easy. I have been forced to run, to hide, to fight, but now I fear it all comes to an end one way or another. I am alone. I'm afraid. I, vampire, am being hunted. I don't know who exactly they are. They could be anyone. They draw closer with every passing day." And he explains also that Alfred explains that Bennett also wanted to make sure it was known that Lex Luthor might have just saved the world while holding the syringe. And that is where the issue ends. And to be fair, this was honestly just plain fun. This was supposed to be released last week. My shop didn't get its DC shipment from last week until late, so yeah. But that and Task Force Z were supposed to come out the week of Halloween, but sadly they didn't. But hey, you know what? Either way, still fun. But anyway, that's it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off saying, live long and rock hard.